This is FanCastic, the fantasy book podcast where we fancast all your favorite characters from best-selling fantasy books. Hosted by me, Loretta Kincaid. I'm a former stage and screen actress, current fantasy book narrator, and Hollywood entertainment professional working in TV music. This week, we are fancasting the second book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, Crown of Midnight. So meet me in another realm, and let's make some magic. Hello, mere mortals. Welcome to episode, 6 of FanCastic. This is going to be a shorter intro than I usually do because we've got a long episode. We're back, continuing the Throne of Glass series with Crown of Midnight. Do you like my little crown that I'm wearing with my bats and my moons and my pink lighting? Crown of Midnight, hopefully you are following along in the series and have read this book. Please don't watch this podcast if you have not read this book. From here on out, if we are fan casting it, we are spoiling it. So I don't want to be that person for you. I want better for you. So please read the book, then come back, listen to the episode, see what you think, get into our comments, get into our DMs, do all the things, follow us on Instagram, and let us know what you think of our choices. So this week, Adara Bryan is back with me, and we are jumping in, casting 8 characters for Crown of Midnight. We talk a little bit about our experience reading the book, how we feel so far, how our opinions of characters have changed, the things that shocked us, if we want to change anyone out from our previous cast, and who we're adding on to this cast. So for Crown of Midnight, obviously the story continues with Celaena Sardothien, as she is now the king's champion. She is living in the castle, and she is fulfilling a list of people that she needs to assassinate in order to help the king's cause of people who are trying to retaliate against him and overthrow him. So he gives her a list. She goes out, she kills, quote unquote, wink, kills people to fulfill his list. And one of those people happens to be someone she knows from growing up and being trained as an assassin. So she runs into do I, don't I, how I help this person. There is relationships develop with the love triangle that there was between her, Chaol, and Dorian. Nehemia becomes a larger part of the story and the cause, and we see Celaena change a bit, both emotionally and otherwise. So that is a little synopsis of where we're at for Crown of Midnight. And without further ado, let's bring back Adara and let's get to fan casting. Yeah, hi Adara, welcome back.
I'm back.
You're back. We wore our pink. We matched the book.
Woo. It was
Look at
unintentional,
us.
but I love our thought process from 2,000 miles away.
Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of trying to do color themes, which each one, it helps me with the editing process. So I was like, let me put on a pink shirt and get some pink lighting. I put a little crown. And the only thing that's different is we're recording this at almost noon my time, but not midnight.
You know what? It's midnight somewhere, right?
It's midnight somewhere. So, Crown of Midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just dive right in. What did we think of this second book? I know we briefly talked, and then we were like, no, we have to save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
So we can just let it all out now.
I really liked it. I'm still going to maintain my opinions from the first one, is that I can tell that this is Sarah J. Maas's first foray into big world epic fantasy story writing. Still some problems, but if this is what her problems were when she was writing this as a very young author,
Yeah.
it's like I really don't have that many complaints. It's really truly like nitpicking at, things here and there. And it really, I understand now why people say, it's an epic. And I'm a few books ahead of you, and I'm slowly doing some other cross-stitching and doing some other stuff to fill my time while you catch up. But I do understand why people say it's an epic as big as Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and things like that, because building that she's doing is just really massive. And Sarah J. Maas and her massive world building, it really is a lot of different characters that you have to track. And I feel like she makes it fairly easy to keep track of those characters.
Yes.
And so far easy to be invested, whether you like them or not, you're still invested.
Yes,
Is the way that I feel.
I feel like with as it's growing and being in Air of Fire right now, she's doing this thing as an author, which typically bothers me, but I do appreciate because I know that at this point we're in book 3/4, however you read it. And there are things that are like, oh, this happened because this happened. Remember? Like, bitch, I read this 2 weeks ago. Like, I didn't forget. But at the
But it's because
time,
we're binging them
right.
versus
Exactly.
reading them as they come out.
Exactly. And so I'm thinking of like in terms of the Empyrean series where Onyx Storm came out and Rebecca just threw us into Onyx Storm. I was like, the fuck is going on? Who are these
Yeah.
people? So, anyways, the with the Empyrean series and how long, not long, really, it's like a year between books. The refreshing, I wish that would have been in Onyx
Mhm.
Storm. And for things like through the Throne of Glass series, I'm almost like, I don't think we need this. But then I'm also trying to think of the perspective of this is supposed to be a YA novel too. So like younger readers may be like, oh yeah, that's right. I know I, as a younger reader, I would never forget any detail of anything. You don't have to tell me. But now I'm like, oh, actually, no, that's good that you're tying it back in. I think with the furthering of the plot for Crown of Midnight, nothing really happened except that one thing. And that one thing is spoiler, skip ahead. You shouldn't be listening to this anyways, is Nehemiah being murdered. That was, I threw my book. I was mad. I was
I
like,
knew you were gonna be so
Carol.
mad about that because especially when we were talking, because I had already passed that when we had recorded the first one, and I was like, because you were talking about major characters, I was like, "You're not made for long."
I know. And I really didn't see that coming. I did not. And
Yeah.
it's so brutal. And when I got to the chapter that is where it's just Elena and Nehemiah talking and the princess talking, being like, I know what needs to be done. Her accepting her fate that she is going to have to die in order to break Selena enough for her to release who
Mhm.
she really is and then go after for the larger cause. When I read that, I went, oh, fuck. Come on. Don't do this. Don't do
Yeah.
this. And then couple chapters later, everything with Chaol and her, it was really good. It was really hard and it pissed me off, but it was really nice that something that big happened because otherwise I feel the book was a little fluffy and slow. And then it got there and it was like, here's all this information. Cool. And so
Yeah,
I
you're
was
not
so
wrong.
excited.
It'll make a really great season finale at some point, last couple episodes of season 2. Um,
Absolutely.
and for me, I think what I loved the most, though, is when I say world building, I also mean like physical world building because I think it
Mm.
does a really good job of describing like when she's exploring the castle and going into all of the different areas and things like that. I'm like, just because that would be if I were locked in a castle, the way I'd be like secret passageways, I'd be so excited to do that. So
Yes.
I was able to vicariously explore along with Selena. And so I loved that part about it. It I was surprised in terms of how the immediate love triangle ended up not being in a love triangle by the end of book 2. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay," because all the conversations we had about what we thought was gonna happen, who she was gonna end up being with, at least so far at the end of this book, no, not happening at all, and
No.
I'm guessing that's part of the reason why, especially young women really hooked into it is because they're able to really get the fun YA tinglies in the stomach and the heart
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the whispers of and then we went to bed. It's very there's it's I'm not even going to say tame because nothing as of yet is even being described. So there's nothing tame or untamed to talk about. And I
Yeah.
think it's a really great way for young women to identify with Celaena when it comes to like first love feelings and things like that.
Yes. I think she like loses herself in it,
Yeah,
and I feel like she's grappling so much with feelings of Sam still in the first book that she doesn't allow herself to go there with Dorian. And then in the second book, she has closed the door with Dorian because she's like, we are just not the same. We're just too different.
yeah,
And then her and Kale, I don't like Kale at all, period. He is my least favorite character. He drives me nuts when it is anyone's perspective. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to hear about this, you stupid boy. I hate
yeah,
him a lot. And so I think her being with him when Nehemia dies and she finds fault in him
yeah,
and flips out at him and says the phrase that is uttered over and over again through the rest of the book is, "You will always be my enemy," and scratches him and just goes at him is incredible. I loved that moment, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck this guy. He sucks. He's the worst."
Men are
And then
trash.
he's trash, and then he doesn't fucking let up, and then he sends her away, like, he knows what's best for her. I am so sick of this dude being like, "I know what's best for you." You don't know shit, bro. You don't know anything. She
I
knows
also
more
want to
about.
question how like a 22-year-old is in charge of the entire Kingsguard. He's a few years
Thank
older
you.
than she
Thank
is, but
you.
how is a 22-year-old in charge of all of the
Thank you.
king's security?
Thank you. This doesn't make sense to me, and that's where I get frustrated. What I envision that relationship being is, you have to help me out here with names because I'm bad at them from watching House of the Dragon, but this is blank and blank, the guard and the main girl.
Oh, and Mr. Poo Poo Face,
Yes, Rhaenyra and the hot guy who's actually a absolute
who
sociopath.
ends up sleeping with her friend mother,
Yes,
her mother
exactly.
friend, her
Sleeps with
step.
her stepmom
Yeah, no, you're
bestie or
right. You're
whatever.
right.
That's
Yeah,
what it reminds me of, is that relationship.
Sir something
I don't
ticked me
remember his
off.
name. He's real hot though, but that's how I first, when I was reading the first book, that is the relationship I pictured. He's with her for the first time, and I almost wish Kale was older.
Sir Kristen Cole.
Sir Christian Cole, you fucking dickhead.
Yeah,
That guy.
Rhaenyra and Sir Kristen.
Rhaenyra and Sir Christian. There we go. That's right. Because I was live texting you and I was like, I love him. But Kim, he's the worst. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about Kale. The same feeling. And I don't like that they're close in age and he, A, treats her like she doesn't know shit. And she's probably hundreds of years old in Fae terms. Probably not because of real timeline that's happening. I also, sorry, sidetrack. I just recently just read the part where that in Air of Fire, where she refers to her human form as her animal shifting. And I was like, "Oh, fuck you. This is stupid. He gets to
Yeah.
be a stag and he gets to be a wolf and whatever. And you are a fucking human. Sure, it saved your life for the past 18 years, but what the fuck? That made me real mad. I just read that and I said to Sean, he was cooking dinner, and I went, "Oh, this sucks." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, she just referred to her human self as her animal form. Barf." I was so mad. I was so angry. Come on.
Yeah.
And of course that could change because it's early in the book, but reading that, I was like, dumb. But yeah, I didn't like Kale even more in this book. And I know
No, you're not wrong.
there are people who are Kale stans. Like, they're like, "Oh, I love him."
We're not there yet.
That's
I
true.
don't
That is
know
true.
what he could do that would be enough of a redemption for me to like him more. I don't think I
Yeah.
hate him as viscerally as you do. But I'm also like, dude, you're a little boy. Like you're a little and you're making stupid decisions and
Yeah.
you're just being dumb. Maybe something happens that makes him mature in that way and maybe he helps her out in the very end without any expectation of reciprocation of anything. I
Yeah.
don't know, but we'll have to wait and see.
Going back to the love triangle falling apart so quickly, I'm disappointed in that. and with new characters being introduced, with Rowan being
Mhm.
introduced, they're brand new, but there's something obviously there. It's so interesting because I really don't think that she's gonna end up with either of them. I feel my heart hurts for Dorian right now because he really does love her. And where I'm at right now, he's has stated my ways have changed because of someone.
Yeah.
And makes me sad because I don't think they're gonna end up together, and if I'm rooting for either of them, it would be her and Dorian. I don't know. They're connected somehow, but they're not together. Her and Chaol, she will never forgive him for that, and I think the
I
statement of "He
really
will
can't
always
wait for
be
you
my."
to finish Air of Fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think your feelings are necessarily gonna change about Dorian, but there's some shit that goes down that I can't wait to discuss with you.
I did love Dorian more. He was extra emo in this one. He's, like, hands in his pockets and like, "Oh, hey, I was waiting for Nehemia. What are you doing here?"
You know
Like,
what? Knowing you, that tracks really
oh,
well.
I was like,
A
that
dark-haired emo prince in the corner of the castle?
wearing my Sleeping with Sirens emo band t-shirt right now.
Yeah,
That is the
that's
dark romance side of me. Give me that boy with the dark brown eyes and he's got blue eyes,
mhm.
but like my husband has brown eyes. Dark brown eyes and the dark curly hair who's like brooding in the corner and is like trying to figure out like his existential crisis. Like, why do I have magic? What is it? Like that's like
Oh,
I
yeah, so well for you. Whereas for me, who likes the tall, nerdy, sweet guy, I'm like, "I don't hate Kale as much as you do."
yeah. I'm like, fuck that guy. He
That
sucks.
tracks for me too. I'm like, I hope he has a redemption.
Yeah, and I'm sitting
I
there being like,
recognize
"He can redeem himself right off the edge of a bridge. I don't care. I do
No,
not
yeah,
care."
no, it tracks for you and I so well.
Yeah, I want the one that's like, "I'm in this dark library. What are you doing in this dark library at nighttime? Let's go kill a creature." That's me. And I'm like, "Ooh, that's love, right?"
True love, it's true love. I think another comment that I have is that and I think this is again just because she was a young writer, is she has these really big grand ideas for plot. And I think that there's a lot more big grand ideas coming for plot. But I think she's struggling with the character development while she has to introduce all of these new characters and all of these new elements in order to make this big grand plot work and wrap up
Yeah,
at the end without the major holes in the plot. That I think is where I was struggling with Crown of Midnight is I was like you said, it felt like a whole lot of nothing was happening in the first 3 quarters of the book, and then a whole
yeah,
lot had happened towards the end for that book. But I have a feeling that whole lot of nothing in the first book was important in terms of introducing characters and history and elements to be able to make things later in the book be understood. Another observation that I have is that she is building such a massive plot and not a whole lot of character development is happening while she's introducing all of these new characters, new elements, new histories, new things that all I assume will tie in at some point. But while these new things are being introduced, I feel like Celaena is stuck and Kayla is stuck and Dorian.
yeah,
Dorian is a little bit better this book, in
yeah,
terms of things progressing. But to me, in this book, until the very end, I felt like she's just stuck there. And maybe the whole purpose though is that she wants to illustrate how Selena is just stuck doing these murders.
yeah.
Murders.
The murders.
Winky.
I feel the same because there were things that she almost introduced how the story was gonna go, and then the second that her and Kale get together, and then we spent a week together in bed and we stopped training. Bitch, you have a job to do. Like,
You
you
have
may
people
not
to
like
kill.
you got people to kill, quote unquote,
Yeah.
winky winky. Okay, moving into that. What did we think of Archer? R.I.P.
Mixed feelings about Archer. I haven't even actually thought about it in true depth. I appreciate that Archer has the history with Selena. It's a little bit of a weird history in terms of like we liked each other, but like, gosh, I was just like so young. And I'm like, girl, you're already young. How younger
Yeah,
were you? How much
yeah.
younger were you? How pedophilic was this
Well, and he's
crush on
young
each
too.
other?
They're
Yeah,
supposed to be, like, around the same age, but being a courtesan when he was 12, which is
yeah,
so fucked. Like,
yeah.
there was an element of that made my stomach turn that I was like, I don't like this.
I did cast him a wee bit older because
Me too.
I think that that needs to be there are some things that need
Me
to be
too.
changed when it comes to ages in books, and when you put it onto TV series, especially when things are adjusted for time. This was written 10 plus years ago. Now, let's not be implying that
Yes.
a 12-year-old was having sex.
Yeah, and, like,
Let's age him
learning,
up just a bit. Like,
like,
maybe he's
training. Yeah, you.
5 to 8 years older
Right.
than her, which
Right.
is still not a crazy age difference, but still makes you feel a little bit better when it
Right.
comes to
Right. And to, like,
what was going on.
and, like, listeners, so sorry for, like, that, you know, little sexual content, but however, like, I think it is something that needs to be addressed that it was like, "Oh, this is kind of yucky." Like, I don't
Yeah.
this is bordering on inappropriate, and so I did just skim a lot when she is talking about Archer's history and, like,
Mhm.
the men that he's with and the women he's with, and it made me really sad. So I'm a sucker for the character that sucks and is the bad guy, but has a reason.
He has an icky background, but at the same time, that wasn't necessarily his fault.
Exactly.
Um,
That's how I feel. That's why it was hard for me to be upset with him for trying to survive, right?
yes.
And wanting
Correct.
better for himself and for his world. And
I mean, trigger warning to listeners, he's a victim of sex trafficking.
he is. He is. And Selena is a victim of child labor.
Yep.
The things wrong in this whole book, it's darker than I think the YA audience realizes, and then us as adults reading it is, "Oh, shit, these are kids.
Yeah.
This is crazy." So, I
I'm literally old enough to be the parent of all of these, which I don't like to talk about that, but I like if I had kids at 18, 19, I'd be old enough to be Selena's mom.
yeah, the stuff with Archer and doing his best with what he was with the hand he was dealt,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to hate a character like that, so I did feel bad for him. I don't say I liked him at all, and I wasn't like, "Oh, no," when he died.
Do we hate what he did in
Yeah.
terms of, like, moving like, how he did and how he progressed the plot forward?
No, I think it needed it, you know, like,
Yeah.
it needed it, but I think it's sad that we lost him in such a brutal manner, but what else was gonna happen, you know, like, can't trust him anymore, just kind of eliminating your enemies, and she was supposed to kill him anyway, so she actually did her job that time. Good
Our
for
victim of
her.
child labor killed our victim of sex trafficking.
Right,
Yay.
exactly. Damn, and then the king's just like, "Doo-doo, look at my onyx
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
gem."
Uncut
Yeah,
gems. Look at my
uncut
uncut
un
gem.
uncut gems. I think that
I need to find a place for her in my casting at some point in
oh
the
my
future.
god. Can we actually put her as Coltane? Can we change our mind?
It's not a bad idea.
She might be real fun. We might have
We
to
need to
change
wait until
her.
if she comes back. When she comes back,
We can
figure out
reevaluate.
we can reevaluate if it
Okay,
needs.
is there anyone that's a good segue. Is there
Yeah.
anyone from our first cast that you feel we should change out?
Not yet. I am so solidified in our my Selena choice through Air of Fire. I'm like, Sadie Sink. This is Sadie Sink. Yes, this is Sadie Sink. Like,
Okay.
if there's one casting choice that I've made so far that I'm the most proud of, it's that one. Some of the other characters, we'll have to see, like, if what's his face, Duke Parrington comes back. I just don't
Yeah.
know about some of these other ones. Queen Elena, she hasn't come back a whole lot. She spends all of Crown of Midnight going, "Where are you, Queen Elena? Come
And she's
back
like,
to me."
"Am I here, bitch?" And then Mort's like, "You have to figure out the clues."
It's all
Right.
about the clues.
I also agree that Sadie Sink is still my choice. Some new characters so far in Air of Fire has got me being like, "Who
Mhm.
should I have for you, though?" And I think I
I
do have my
know.
person.
We can, again, keep Air Fire to Air Fire, but I think the next one that we do is gonna be really fun for you
Really fun.
especially.
Really fun because I think I know who I would want as the newest female
Yeah.
character. My only question is how I got to see the dynamic of her and Selena. So I have a ways to go before I can solidify it, but I still think Sadie Sink. So last week's episode was Dreamwalker. That will be the one that's coming out or 2 weeks ago. So this is going to be the third one in April. By the time this comes out, we will have done Dreamwalker and The
Mhm.
Deep, the Titanic fiction book, which is absolutely batshit crazy. There's cocaine. It's crazy. My friend Emily, cast Sadie Sink as Ella,
Oh,
the main
okay.
character. And I was like, this is so interesting because we've already cast her for Throne of Glass. So how do we approach that? If someone brings
Yeah.
in a character we've already cast and I don't think she was the right fit for Ella. I really liked my Ella that I chose. It was
Yeah.
myself. Just kidding. It was an actress who was very similar to me though. But yeah, I think it's so interesting to see people being brought back for different roles and yeah, they book different projects, multiple projects. What I love so much about the podcast and having people on with like new series is who do you see? Who do you see? I want to see your perspective and how it compares to mine and like how that works, especially like in a casting office and in the entertainment industry, you have different casting directors, the producer, the writer, like everybody sees a different person. So to land on the person that everybody's happy with is
Mhm.
hard. And that's part of this game and the, fun process of this podcast. But yeah. Okay. So I'm at this point, I'm not wanting to switch anyone out, but I am questioning our Kale choice.
Okay.
And I'm only questioning it because of what we had mentioned earlier, which is he feels like he does need to be aged up a little bit
Yeah.
in the series, like the television adaptation series. I do feel like he needs to be a little bit older with the choices he makes, how he's talking to Celaena, how he is, his relationship with his dad, and yeah, being the head, like
Time to go home and be the head of the household.
right.
Yeah.
Tell me why the person protecting the prince is the same age as the prince
Yeah.
or like 2 years older. If
Yeah,
somebody,
I need to understand a little bit more of their history and their friendship in order to
same.
understand why that decision was made, and as of yet, that history has not been presented to us.
Yes, the little glimmer of it has popped up in the beginning of Airfire when they were younger, and there was like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
I wanted a little bit more. How did he get here? Why is he away from his family? Why is he doing this? I believe Tower of Dawn is Kale's book. I think our Kale just might change because of we got to age him up a little bit
Fine.
because he's like he's who I picture in the first book, and now I'm getting there, and I'm like,
I don't know if I
ooh,
pick or sure, or they need to if we keep him around, we need it would be with the caveat of my dude needs to continue to stay buffed up, and we need to figure out how to age him up just like
we got to
5
age him.
years, which is
He's got to
possible.
grow facial hair. He's maybe got to get shaggier hair. Like we got to
Yeah.
rough him up a little bit. He's a
Yeah.
little too princeling to
He's
me.
baby-faced.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. He is, and so is Sadie Sink. But Sadie Sink is still perfect because I feel like we can see her age into it. I like our choices so far. I don't know. Do we have anything else to discuss before we jump in?
No, let's jump into it.
So this time we are casting. How many characters do we pick? Only like 8,
Only maybe yeah, not as many as the first one.
which is okay. Let's do this. Welcome to the fan casting of Crown of
I'm
Midnight.
so excited.
Here we go. Just to review, I have our previous cast, which we had already talked about, that we don't feel like we want to switch anybody out quite yet. I think maybe if we age Kale up a little bit, I did find a picture of him with some stubble to help my brain accept him a little bit more. So yeah, I still feel really good with our choices. I'm really happy with them. I think Michael Fassbender being the king of Darlin, the
Which
official Adarlan.
we've confirmed it's a darlin.
We have confirmed it is a Darlin. And the people who said Otterlin, you really screwed everybody up there and you owe us all a public apology. I think reading Crown of Midnight and there's not a lot of the king in there, but having cast him, I could see his facial expressions when she rolls the heads and shows the hands and throws Graves' head on the table and is, you did this. And he's, okay, cool. I really like our casting choice for the king a lot. I'm missing Duke Barrington a little bit though, so I'm hoping he makes a comeback. Okay, our first choice is going to be the first person we were introduced to, which is dear old Roland, the cousin,
Mhm.
Roland Haviard. I have cast as the unknown, up and coming Hallmark star, Evan Roderick.
I have no clue who that is.
Evan is an a former professional hockey player turned actor from British Columbia.
Interesting.
Roland is described as having bright green eyes and looks somewhat similar to Dorian. I feel that Evan, who is unknown, and I'm trying to find somebody who's a little different. He's very charming in all of the Hallmark movies, right? So he's got like his small town boy, ice skater. He's played a lot of different characters in Hallmark films, mainly the Christmas ones. And I think he was just like a fun choice, checked the boxes on looks, and was a little bit out of left field. We don't get a lot of Roland in Crown of Midnight. Now, I don't know if we get Roland later. I think we get a little more of him later. It sounds like him and Duke Parrington are going to be used as tools for whatever the king has planned. To be truthful, I see Evan as a possible Chaol replacement. He's still babyface, but he's not as babyface as our Kit man. He's my choice. Nothing super exciting. I just thought he was so fun that he's like, I'm a former professional hockey player and now I do Hallmark films. And I'm always like the charming fella.
Yeah.
So that is Evan Roderick as Roland Haviard. Next, we have Archer Finn. Now, Archer Finn is described as one of the most beautiful men that Celaena has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
He is built. He has got a full frame.
Yes.
He has full lips. He's really beautiful to look at. And I know that we talked about doing someone a little bit older.
Yes.
And because of his background and courtesan lifestyle, I couldn't help but think of Leo Woodall.
Oh, his face is super familiar. So you pick people that I don't know,
No.
which is good, which is good.
Leo Woodall he is beautiful and he's sexy and he's a little shithead. He plays two notable things that everyone listening should know him from is One Day, the Netflix television series where he plays this kind of lost, drunk friend of someone as time moves forward. He meets somebody, they're going to sleep together, but then they decide not to, and it changes the trajectory of their relationship and friendship. And it's a wonderful series. It is heartbreaking. His performance in it is fantastic. I thought of him for Archer because of his role in the second season of White Lotus, where they're in Italy and he is there with his uncle, quotations.
I remember. That's why he's familiar.
Oh, yeah. So that is where he's from. So he has played roles where he has been used and abused and really is just trying to connect with someone. It reminded me just so much of Archer as a character that when I first was introduced to Archer and kept reading about his history and his friendship with Celaena, I was thinking of his character in White Lotus and the girl from White Lotus as well. His connection with her and how he uses her for bigger plans that are obviously not so nice. I love him as my Archer choice. I think he's someone I'm pretty attached to. He's got like a body, he's got face, he's got the emotion. Okay, next. Who do we have next? Baba Yellowlegs.
Okay, I'm really excited. Oh, okay. We do not have the same choice, but okay. I see it.
Keala Settle. You will know her from The Greatest Showman. She is the bearded lady. She is a Broadway star. I don't know what it is. She was also recently in Wicked. She played the kind of
Mrs. Caudle.
Mrs. Caudle, the professor, teacher, administrator at Shiz University that really takes care of Nessa Rose and puts off Elphaba. And when Dr. Dillamond comes in and the administration is changing, like she just starts to run the show a little bit. I think she would have so much fun as Baba Yellowlegs.
Mhm.
As an Iron Teeth witch, the leader. I would love to see her just go crazy in that trailer home.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you,
maze.
but I'm wondering if there's a different Iron Teeth character. Mostly because I feel really strong about my Baba Yellowlegs as well. So I'm wondering if there's a
Okay.
way for either one of our characters to reassign them to another Iron Teeth.
For sure.
person.
For sure. When I was reading Baba Yellowlegs, it was her face that I saw immediately.
Interesting.
I think her character in Wicked, when watching it, I was like, why does she look like that? Why do they have her so drab and down? She's so beautiful. Unfortunately, I think Keala gets those character roles because she's good at them. She's a great actress. I just think it would be really fun to see her stretch her legs, for lack of better term, as Baba
Yeah.
Yellowlegs. We don't get her for very long, but her legacy seems to be very important in the rest of the series. So it should be somebody that we like and remember. Next, we have Mort.
We love Stanley Tucci.
You know how much I love the Tooch.
We love the
I
Toot.
love Stanley Tucci. Now, there was two people I was torn between. Stanley Tucci, who notoriously has a bald head and is sassy and can give us Devil Wears Prada attitude towards Celaena when she's trying to figure things out and is like, can you help me? And he's like, no. I would love to see that. The door knocker is described as brass door knocker with a skull. He would voice it, or if his face could be rendered CGI'd into the door knocker. I don't know. Stanley Tucci's like a skull door knocker to me in my brain. Can't explain that really. He just is. My second choice for this was Steve Buscemi.
Okay.
Again, just that sassy, weird, that would be like a more quirky, the fuck is that thing? Attitude. And Mort, I think, could give more of the unbothered, bored, I've been here for years sass.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's one of my favorite choices. Moving along, my Philippa Spindlehead is Jessica Gunning from Baby Reindeer.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good choice. Yeah.
Philippa is described in not so loving of a manner of a large woman who is contained by her housekeeping outfit. So I wanted to find a larger woman and she's described as wearing peach and having these pink rosy cheeks. And we only got to see Jessica Gunning introduced to everybody through Baby Reindeer, playing this stalker delusional character. If you haven't watched Baby Reindeer, highly recommend that show. It is hard to watch. It's very good though. And I would love to see her play someone who's just sweet and a little annoyed of this human that she's got to take care of. But I feel like there's something about her that's warm and loving. And I didn't want her to be old, like an old lady maid. I just wanted her to be like, maybe she has kids of her own that we don't know about, or we don't know really her background. So I really love my choice for her. I think Jessica Gunning is an amazing actress, and having her be in a fantasy series would be great.
Yeah.
Next,
Is it?
Marita Goldsmith is Florence Welch.
Okay.
She's a singer. She's wearing a green dress. She's got red hair. Who does this naturally? Florence Welch. Now, this is a smaller character. Obviously, spoiler, she is killed. She becomes a musician and a harpist that is so widely known so that she can get it into the castle and sing songs about the past and the wars. When her head is on the chopping block, she is listing the people she has lost at the hands of the king. I would love to see Florence Welch just pop in there and be like, I'm a musician and these are my lines. Goodbye. She feels like I would love her.
A cute little
I
Jack,
thought
like in
about
Game of Thrones.
yes. Yeah. Just a little pop it. That never made sense to me. It was fun, but it never made sense. This I feel could make sense. That's just, in the book when you're reading it and they just describe her like this green dress and red hair and she's got this beautiful voice. And I was like, Florence and the Machine? That's who's performing at the Glass Castle right now? I love that for us.
What a budget. What them.
Yeah, what a budget. Good for them. I love her. She's one of my favorite choices too. I think like the side characters were my fave for this one. This is my Fleetfoot. Her name is Maggie. She is an Instagram star.
Oh.
Her Instagram handle is Maggie and her dad's. She is a 3-year-old golden retriever has 2 fathers and is just a sweet baby girl and has these hazel caramel, molten caramel colored eyes, as Celaena describes her. Now, obviously, for Fleetfoot would have to start as a puppy in book 1 and move into where she is in book 2. I also picked this photo because she looks like she's limping. And when Fleetfoot gets hurt, she's limping. She's a TikTok, Instagram pup. She loves the camera. She can smile. She knows a lot of tricks. So I think not going the Hollywood Airbud trained route.
Yeah.
I went the Insta famous dog route and picked Maggie as our Fleetfoot because she's a cute little baby. Fleetfoot is a girl. I went back and checked because I was like, is Fleetfoot a boy or a girl? I can't remember. Fleetfoot's a girl. And there's pictures on Maggie's Instagram of her sitting on people and in weird places. And it's always describes that she just sits on Nehemia and she sits on Celaena's face. And she's just a funny, quirky dog. And that's it.
Love.
It's a shorter one, obviously. So these are my choices. Comments, questions, concerns.
I think we do not have any crossover again, just so you know.
Again, I thought we might have the same yellow legs.
No, but I can see where your thought process was for yellow legs. Also think it's really interesting the difference between you and me when it came to Fleetfoot, because you were thinking of actual real life dogs and I was like, what dog breed would work? So I went the let me choose a breed route and you were like real life pup.
Hilarious. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I was like, I just see I see golden retriever for Fleetfoot.
Yeah.
But I see a lighter golden or a mix or something, because if she's bigger than normal. This is a wild guess, but I think Fleetfoot was bred with a wolf and something is going on down the line with that. There's something there. Or Fleetfoot's not a real dog and is a human being, because this is a fantasy novel. I'm expecting that. So I wanted to go with a basic dog so that if something happens down the line, people are like, oh, fuck. What?
I had very similar thoughts, and you'll see how that manifested for me when I get to the type of the breed that I chose.
Okay, sick. Yeah.
I don't have any major complaints. I think that there's a few that you're going to really want to fight for once you see mine and once we do the final cast. But none of these really stand out to me in terms of, oh no, terrible choice. I completely don't see it. I don't know the actor who plays Hallmark actor. I don't know his work at all. So it's one of those things where I have to trust you in terms of, if you really want to fight for him, I'll trust you. But I can see it.
I think the ones I would really fight for would be Archer.
Okay.
I'm open to Raina, but I think my choice is Fun. Would be a fun cameo. Yeah. Mort. I don't know. I think Archer is the one that I'm like, I see this man. And
I see it. I also see it. I'll be curious to know once I pull mine up how you feel about it. Because remember, I said I chose mine because I feel like there's a little bit of at least perceived public perception of this actor in real life, how it would fit into this role. But we'll
I almost chose Harry Styles, but I didn't.
I haven't.
I literally was like, Harry Styles?
Harry Styles.
I don't feel like he has the build.
No, not quite.
He's got the pretty.
Not quite.
He's got the pretty, but he doesn't have the
build
build,
himself
so
wants to, but I don't think he wants to. I don't think he would care enough to.
This is true.
I think he knows that the girlies and the gays like him the way he is.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so for the first choice that I have here, I did this one a little bit for you as well, just so you know. And so for the role of Roland Haviard, I chose our favorite Eddie from Stranger Things, Joseph Quinn.
Shut up. I literally was about to be like, Joseph Quinn?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing. Here's my thing. I love it. I love it. I don't disagree. Yeah. I love it. I think he looks like Tom Blythe. I think they could go together. I don't know why I didn't think of this. So Dreamwalker, we've cast him as Cole. And Emily was like, I know you like Joseph Quinn. And I was like, you snotty little.
It's not that you like Joseph Quinn. It's that what song is Eddie playing, I think was a really pivotal moment for you in your decision to go into music licensing and TV and film music. And so I know that was a huge pivotal moment for you and being like, yes, this is the career that I need to be doing. I think it could have been any actor as Eddie and Joseph Quinn, and you would feel the same way about him. Granted, Joseph Quinn is great, and he has been starting to I mean, he was in the recent Gladiator. He was in The New Quiet Place. We obviously know him from Stranger Things. And he was even, I went and I rewatched Game of Thrones, and he was a little tiny background role in Game of Thrones 10 years ago. So he's been putting in the
Yeah.
work since his early 20s.
Baby, he's about to be in Fantastic Four.
Exactly. And so this to me, he
Yeah.
might be a little too big now for this role. But that's okay because he deserves all of the rewards that he's been working for the last 10 years. For me, I
What
was really
if?
looking at who we portrayed as Dorian, knowing that Roland could be portrayable to be in maybe mid to mid late 20s, still be okay in terms of they're supposed to be cousins of similar age, but we can fudge the age a little bit, I think, with this.
Oh yeah,
And
he's got a baby
yeah,
face.
and so I'll be curious to see what happens with Roland coming up, but I was like, Joseph Quinn is not one that I'm necessarily gonna hardcore fight for, but it's also one that I like really like the choice.
I have no rebuttal.
Okay,
I have no
right?
rebuttal. My Hallmark hockey player does not stand up to Joseph Quinn. I will always choose Joseph Quinn. And this is for any guest going forward. You want to lock someone in and have a win?
Yeah.
You pick Joseph Quinn. There you go. That's a campaign
All
slogan.
right, Joseph Quinn. Okay, Joseph Quinn it is then. Roland Havyard. And then we'll see
He's
if
in.
that
Lock it
lock it
in.
in, and we'll see
That's
if
my
it stands up
Roland. I
to the
love
test
him.
of time. Okay, so this is the one that I'm
just
really
love
curious
him.
for your thoughts for because it's for Archer Finn. And so for Archer Finn, I chose Aaron Taylor Johnson. Thoughts? He's a little on the older side. A
Oh,
little on the older side. And I get that. He's 33, I think, in real life. But because of, and this is why I said perceived public, because we don't know what's going on in his relationship, I think that there's just a background there that I think provides the ability to showcase that kind of vulnerability. While also I can see him going dark for when Archer needs to go dark, you know? This is not, again, not one that I would like really hardcore die on a hill for. I really like this choice, but I do recognize that there are some flaws with the choice as well. So
I think he is too old
fair.
and doesn't have enough of a baby face because he has aged in a great way, finally, like a nice, beautiful bottle of
Mm-hmm.
wine. I'm so pissed off at Aaron Taylor Johnson right now, and it's not his
Yep.
fault. I just have a sour taste in my mouth from Craven, a Sony film, which on paper and on this podcast, I loved that film. So good. I did not. It was horrible. It was dog shit. And I feel bad. That is the sour taste. Now, him in Bullet Train, hell yeah. He was great. He's great in a million things. Nowhere Boy is one of my most favorite
Mm-hmm.
movies in the whole wide world, where he does play a young John Lennon. He's so talented. And I fully agree with, the public perception with him and his
wife.
large age gapped
Yep.
wife. So that's hard. It's hard for me to want to cast someone, though, based on their personal
I know.
life rather than what they can play. But see, now, Bill, on the other hand.
Like you could see him as a Chaol. Like you don't think he's too old for Chaol?
No, I think if Chaol needs to be aged up, he could pull off. I could see him trying to protect Dorian.
Yeah.
And have the ability of being his friend and have the ability where if he is with Celaena Sardothien as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, it's not creepy.
Okay.
But so I could see him as a Chaol replacement.
Okay. Interesting.
And I love Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Well,
He's
I
so
know
hot.
you were your Archer, and so I can 100% concede for your Archer for
Okay.
this one. I don't mind it.
Okay.
This was one that I was a little on the fence about, knowing that it's a character that's a one and done a little bit, you know?
I see Aaron Taylor Johnson to me is an action dude, and Archer is a pretty boy
Mhm.
who can flip into action if he needs to, but he's got to be a pretty boy. He can't feel threatened by him, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's described as being threatening. Like, he's a bigger dude. And when she's got him in the carriage and she's a motherfucker, if you fuck this up and he's scared, I don't see Aaron Taylor Johnson being able to play that fear and that cowering, please don't fucking kill me situation. I do see Leo Woodall being able to
Well,
do
let's do
that
it. Let's do Leo
and
Woodall
do
then.
both. Oh my god, okay. But I would like to put a pin in Aaron
Okay.
Taylor Johnson for a possible Chaol replacement or other character down the line
Okay. Let's do it. Put a pin in it.
if anyone else pops up. Like maybe does Chaol have an older brother? He's got a brother,
I think it's a
right?
younger brother, but yeah.
Okay. You know, maybe we do a flip-floppies or
Maybe Aaron
something.
becomes
But
Chaol and Kit Connor becomes the younger brother.
yeah,
So we'll see.
that's a possibility because I love him.
Yep. Okay. What is it, Bobby Yellow Your Legs that's up next? Okay, so
I
I
believe Baba's,
fully admit that I was very specifically thinking of this actor from one movie only that I've seen this actor in. I know this actor has done a lot on stage, and they are a character actor to the extreme. And that is Catherine Hunter, who played all three witches in the most recent Macbeth production, the Macbeth movie that was in like 2019 that had Frances McDormand and Denzel Washington in it. Catherine Hunter this is a still from that film. A lengthy, weird, quirky. Oh, she was also in the movie that Emma Stone won for being the prostitute last year.
Oh God, and not Pretty Things.
But you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, where she's not really a prostitute. She's like created to be.
Yes, she's like essentially a prostitute.
y-
And she played
what is that
like a
movie?
brothel owner in that one. Has done a lot of quirky, weird, goofy, little creepy side character roles is what Catherine Hunter has built her film career on, but then for stage has been like at the Globe Theatre in London doing Shakespeare for like decades, you know? But when I envisioned Bobby Yellowlegs, I very specifically envisioned Catherine Hunter as all three witches going back and forth as like a multiple split personality disorder in the most recent
Poor
production
things.
of it was a specific vision. I have a different picture of
Okay.
Catherine Hunter in my full final thing, but I was
Okay.
like, this is the vision that I see for Baba Yellowlegs. This is the one and this is also why I feel like I would fight for this one a little bit more because Catherine Hunter comes in and does these little kind of characters and leaves, whereas I like the vision of Keala Settle, but I think there's a different character that'll be around longer that is also an Iron
Okay.
Tooth character that I don't know if you've gotten to
Okay.
that point yet.
I have not yet. I'm learning about the two clans, witch clans
I mean,
happening right now. So
don't think of it's that
Iron
much of
Teeth
a spoiler, but there are more leaders of the witch clans that come into play later on.
correct.
And so
Correct.
envisioning
I'm just
Keala
learning what
Settle
they
for
are.
that because it's not a 2-3 scenes killer and then done type of situation.
No, and I think you're right. I think I would be sad to lose Keala on screen. I think I would be sad to lose her on screen. I think she'd be such a great, oh my God, wow, it's Keala Settle. Love her. And then to have her be gone. I do think that Catherine Hunter, while I don't know her work specifically beyond Macbeth, I did see the Frances McDormand 2019 Macbeth with Denzel Washington. I did see that. I love her. I can see that the trickery with the mirrors and the chain and having a strength that's not you wouldn't look at an old woman and be like, the fuck?
This is an
That
actor who
has
can
to
play
be
an old,
witchcraft.
feeble woman and then instantly turn it around with body contortion skills and things like that to be like, oh, wait a minute. Scary crap.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. I think that your choice is good. I will concede Keala and we can put a pin in her for
I think Keala's going to
another
come
role,
back in our
possibly.
next one.
Okay.
I think Keala's going to come back
Okay.
very soon, and I think you and I, maybe that'll be the one and only crossover that we have, and we will
That
lock
would be-
that one in very quickly. Coming, I just have to get there in the books. I'm waiting for you to get to that one, so I think so.
Yeah. Let's go with Catherine Hunter.
Cool.
I like her.
Cool. All right.
I think that's great.
Catherine Hunter it is. Okay, coming up next.
Yeah.
More Stephen Fry. I don't know why. I just think I've been watching a lot of my For You page on social media is like British talk shows. And so Stephen Fry, being a British actor, pops up on there every once in a while. And I just feel like he has just the goofiest voice and like has been with the castle for ages, you know, and it's as this skull skeleton, but I was also envisioning somewhat like a mix of a skeleton and like the door knockers from like the labyrinth, like that where my brain went in terms of like how are we going to I'm not tied to this. I actually like your choice of Stanley Tucci better. It's one of those where I was like, Stephen Fry has been in a lot of British shows. He was in V for Vendetta. Be a fun little in the booth only role for him. But also, you said the Tooch, and that's a better choice.
I
Fry
like
can be
Stanley
the sass.
Tucci and the sassiness.
Stephen Fry
Yeah,
can
he's
sass.
sassy.
Stephen Fry can have the seriousness, but I like the Tooch's sass better.
Yay! I like Stephen Fry just in general as
Yep.
well. I see him as more, if he can be on screen, because he is that quintessential British king, nobleman, what have you. If there is we didn't cast Chaol's dad.
We haven't. That would be a good choice too, actually.
Someone who's going to guilt you into, oh, why don't you come home? I feel like Stephen Fry plays both sides of the coin so well of, oh, why don't you come home? And then if he's got to be a hard ass, he could also do that. Maybe if we end up saying, hey, let's throw in a random character for the next one, or in Chaol's book when we find out a little bit more about his father, hopefully. Yeah. He is a contender for Papa Chaol.
Well, let's lock in the Tooch and let's put a pin in Stephen Fry and see if there's somewhere elsewhere that we can bring him in.
Stanley Tucci as Mort.
Yeah.
Mr. Man who bought me a coffee one time at the Gregory's on 8th and 44th.
Love that. Love Gregory's.
8th and 44th. He bought me one. Yeah. I would always see him before my shift. I would go get my Gregory's and walk over from the train. And he would always see him there. And I would be like, okay, every time. And finally one day he was in front of me and he just turned around and he went, what's your name? And I said, oh, my name's Loretta. And he goes, you're here all the time. And I said, oh, yeah, I work at the Broadhurst Theater. I'm a bartender down the way. So this is my coffee. And then I go to my shift and head on home. And he goes, nice to meet you. And I went, I know you are. And he goes, let me get your coffee. And I was like, thank you. Holy shit. Aww. Yeah. And he was just so lovely. And I so badly wanted to be like, can I take a picture with you? And be like, he bought me this coffee. But I was like, don't ruin it. Yeah. Just have the moment. Well, it's like one of my favorite New York memories is Stanley Tucci bought me a mocha from Gregory's.
That's a good New York moment.
He's a good one.
Philippa Spindlehead. So for Philippa Spindlehead, I chose Kathy Najimy, but I very specifically chose Kathy Najimy as seen in Hocus Pocus. I was like, listen, Kathy Najimy, this is who I envision. So I was like, yes, Kathy, we love her, but this is the specific. Like this older, bumbling around, goofy little lady who she knows everything, but she's there. And I was like, I just love Kathy. And she is so good at like physicality and different characters. And she was a staple of so many of the movies of the 90s of our childhood. And we haven't seen as much as of late. And I would love to have her kind of come back in her fantasy era is the way that I feel about it.
That's a fun one.
This is another one where I feel like I see your vision. I also might want to fight for mine a little bit with Kathy because I
like her. Yeah. I like her, but I fear that she might be too big for as small a character as Philippa is. I know she's reoccurring, but she doesn't do much. She doesn't say much. She's just there. And so when she would be on screen, I feel like she would have to make it count. I'm not sure Kathy would be the standout role for that. My choice of Jessica Gunning, she's early on in her career, so it would be a role for her to have a reoccurring but through a series
my question
or
is,
a film.
She's early in her career, yes, but she got a lot of critical acclaim for that. Do you feel like that the trajectory for her would include being in a character that's a little more maybe in the background? Because I feel like the next steps for her is going to be something that if they built up the role of Philippa Spindlehead a little bit more, I would agree with you and I would see it. But I feel like Kathy is, yes, has a long storied career of being a witch. And we've seen her in different things in the 90s. But I also feel like she's of the age where hopefully, because I hope to be at the age when I'm at that age, give no fucks. And like, I have fun and do some fun, goofy, physical comedy shit in the background and provide a little bit of comedic levity to the role that I think that because I feel like a lot of this book was a little bit of a downer. And I feel Philippa is going to be
Yeah.
a breath of a little bit of comedy and warmth in it. And I do know that Jessica Gunning can do that 100%. But I think for me, it was Kathy and Philippa is at the point where I can come in and have fun with this and give no fucks. And I don't care if it's a smaller role because she's
Okay.
at that point in her career where it doesn't matter quite as much. Where I think that because Jessica Gunning is on the up and up, I think it mad
Mhm.
more. But we can table it because
Okay.
I think maybe we each decide in terms of for Rena Goldsmith and Philippa Spindlehead, which one we like want and which one we want to concede. And depending on what
Mhm.
you think of mine for Rena Goldsmith, we can figure that out.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I don't know if she's the right fit. I don't know if she's too old to play Philippa. Philippa's not really described as old.
I thought she was.
Was she?
I'm doing a Google.
I don't hate it. I like it.
Yeah.
Like, she's definitely a character actress. We're not going to get the same Kathy that's in Hocus Pocus, even the new
The
Hocus
Throne of Glass
Pocus.
wiki has Philippa listed as 60 plus in terms of age.
Oh, okay.
That being said, I don't know if I've thought of any. I wouldn't want to like pop Kayla Settle into this because again, I think it's too small of a role. So I don't
I
know
agree.
if
I
let's
don't see
move
her
ahead
as.
to Rena Goldsmith and then come back and we'll see how we feel about all of
If she is older, if she is 60 plus, then this feels like the right choice.
I think if I had to fight between the two of them, I would fight more for my Rena Goldsmith than I would for my Philippa Spindlehead.
Jessica Gunning's not old enough to play Philippa, then she's not old enough to play Philippa. I don't want to cast somebody significantly younger.
I would need to go into the book to find like a specific what from the book justified this going on the Throne of Glass wiki that's a fan run page to say 60 plus. Where
Yeah.
specifically in the book does
Yeah,
it?
Jessica Gunning is 38.
Yeah, she's my age.
Yeah, we cannot cast her
This
in
isn't
an
college theater. We
older.
can't age somebody up 40 years. They're the only plus size person on the cast.
Celaena thinks Philippa will be easy to manipulate, so I think her being older seems like she could be like, I can manipulate this old lady. Philippa is often described as a busybody and talkative character. She is very expansive and kind and doesn't seem to be scared by Celaena, even though she knows her occupation. The two almost have a grandmother-granddaughter kind of relationship.
Okay.
So let's go with Kathy.
Okay.
Because I think keeping age is correct.
Okay.
And Kathy's not like old, but she's older, so that it could be like a younger grandmother.
Yeah.
I will concede Jessica.
Okay.
She's not the right fit. Maybe she can come back for something else.
Let's try to find it. Rena Goldsmith. I have another singer-songwriter for this role, but specifically a singer-songwriter that has very recently turned into an actor, which is Sarah Bareilles.
Oh.
Yeah. So for me, I think this can be said the same about both Florence Welch and Sarah Bareilles. They both have a very folksy sound to them. Florence Welch, I think, more so than
Mhm.
Sarah Bareilles. They both have a very earthy, grounded feel to them as a performer, singer-songwriter, which I think is really important to the role of Rena Goldsmith. They're both of an appropriate age to like late 30s-ish, because I know Rena talks about how she has a daughter, like a teenage daughter, and it's possible in your late 30s to have a teenage daughter, you know? The standout difference for me is that I know Sarah has very recently taken on acting roles. We both saw her live in Jesus Christ Superstar, the live experience with John Legend, which was
We did. Mary
amazing.
Magdalene.
And then she went on to do Waitress, both as writing Waitress
Girls
then
Five Eva.
performing in Waitress. Saw her in that as well. And then, they recorded it. And so that was a thing that
She's done Girls Five Eva.
yeah. Oh, and I've seen a couple episodes of that, and I go, I need to watch more of this, and then I never do. I always forget. And Girls Five Eva. So that to me was the thing that kind of really stood out for me, as I was like, we have somebody who has the years, decades long experience of being a singer, and a singer that has a little bit more of a folksy root to her, combined with somebody who has recently branched out into acting. I know that Florence has branched out into writing for theater as of late. Thoughts on Sarah Bareilles?
I don't like her.
Okay, tell me why.
And I tell you why. Because I think your argument of being an actor and branching out, I don't think Rena Goldsmith needs to be an actor. She needs to go sing a song, and then she needs to go recite a list of people, and then she gets her head chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's that important. I think it's more about her defiance and look. And I think Florence Welch is older. She's a little bit older. She is a little harder in her music.
Mhm.
She's more ethereal, fairy, fantasy that feels like she would be standing up for the magic people. Sarah Bareilles, I could see, she was a little younger, I could see her as a Cultane.
Okay.
I don't think Rena Gold's, she's a 2-page person. She's only 2 pages. So she would have to dye her hair red. Like, she would have to, I just feel like it would be too much work to get her to be not Sarah Bareilles.
And you don't feel like it would be too much work to get Florence Welch to be not Florence Welch? Or do you think that it doesn't matter as much because Florence Welch to you is more of the character?
Yeah, I feel like Rena Goldsmith was created in the likeness of Florence Welch.
Okay.
If you look up Florence Welch, every dress she's wearing is green. She is very, like, witchy. She's got the red hair. I feel like the character was written as her or Ingrid Michaelson or whoever Sarah J. Maas was listening to at the time. Feels like she was like, I'm going to throw this artist in here. She's a harpist. She sings.
I got to think on it.
I just feel like Sarah Bareilles is too big.
I don't think you're wrong there. This is one that I felt really strongly about. So I got to let me do my Fleetfoot and then let me come back to this because I'm like, I know I got Kathy Najimy, but I feel like that was a little bit more of a default. And so I got to think on Florence Welch a little bit because you're not wrong in any of your arguments there. But it's just one where it was so deeply that it's going to take just a second, I think, to switch it over, you know? So let me move to Fleetfoot and then we'll come back to this. And then I think I'll probably concede, but I just got to give myself a second to switch over. Okay. So for Fleetfoot, you approached it in terms of actual dog, and I approached it in terms of what dog breeds. I was thinking really large, like a really large dog at the end of the day. And however, I said, but wolfhounds are not like light colored like they are, like Irish wolfhounds. But I was thinking, I was like, but I still look like an Irish wolfhound. And then I found out that there's somebody out there who is indeed breeding golden colored rare Irish wolfhound mixes with golden retrievers. And I said, perfect. That is exactly what I need. So it has the soft ears you can see of a golden retriever. It's not as big as like a full Irish wolfhound, which are technically bigger than Great Danes on average. But it has like that wiry, muddy, mixy look because that's part of the reason why Fleetfoot is adopted is because it was like not one of the purebreds that Damien was hoping to get out of, the mix. And so there's no specific dog in mind. There's no dog with the following. If I were to do a dog with the following, I might choose Nala Stomps. Do you know who Nala Stomps is?
I love Nala Stomps.
I was like, Nala Stomps would be a good choice too. This was just the look that I was going for overall. Like also golden, but slightly more muddy looking versus a purebred and slightly less smaller than an Irish wolfhound.
It's a little derpy.
A little derpy.
A little more derpy.
A little derpy. Yeah. Because mutts, they have the derpy look to them, and we love the little the derpy mutts. So that's what I was envisioning. Also, Fleetfoot is still a puppy at this point, and so I think that what I think would be really fun is envisioning like the small puppy growth from when Fleetfoot is, because Irish wolfhounds truly don't really flesh out until they're a couple of years old. They get really tall and lanky, but I was envisioning like this tall, lanky 1-year-old still puppy who's tripping over her feet, getting injured, and then hopefully, knock on wood, when they reunite, it's going to be this like bigger, filled in of a beautiful mutt dog. They're like, holy cow, this is Fleetfoot. And it's, this is Fleetfoot. Fleetfoot has become this, still derpy looking, but larger.
Okay. I can see that. I like this breed better. I know I picked like an actual star, but I think picking a breed is a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think let's keep it open for which ultra rare Irish golden wolfhound mixes
what breeders are out there doing this. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to Rena. I've thought about it. I'll concede Rena to you. I was already leaning in that direction anyways. I just think I had to switch over in my brain what she looked like a little bit, and I'm okay with it.
Because the other person I had thought of is Chapel Rowan.
Not old enough yet, though, unfortunately.
Correct. And so she talks about, having the teenage daughter. And I was like, oh, no, that's not going to work.
Chapel would be the teenage daughter.
She would be the teenage daughter. I'm also thinking Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Oh, yeah.
And put a wig on her.
Listen, this is your bread and butter when it comes to like TV and film and music and stuff like that. This is literally what your career and your chosen career path wants to be, picking singers and music to put into TV and film. So I feel like this is really where you can shine as well as a casting director. And so
I
if Florence Welch or Amy Lee in a wig is really what you're feeling, I still think it's a good choice. There's no bad choices here whatsoever.
Florence Welch has stayed in the folk indie rock realm and has just stayed there and sold her shit for musical theater and been like, sure, give me that paycheck. If we're going to use Sarah Bareilles for someone, let's use her for someone where she can really play somebody because she does have the acting
Yeah.
chops and Rena doesn't need it.
Let's do it. Florence Welch, let's lock it in.
Boom. Lock it in. Is that it?
This was my overall entire cast. And I used the different photo of Catherine Hunter for Yellow Legs.
Yeah. She's so cute. Let's go through. We've got Roland. Havyard is going to be Joseph Quinn.
Yes.
Adara's choice.
Yes.
Our Archer is my choice, Leo Woodall. Our Yellow Legs is Adara's choice. Catherine Hunter as Baba Yellow Legs. Rena Goldsmith is my choice as Florence Welch. Our Philippa is Adara's choice.
A little bit by default, though. Like, I think your choice is also really good.
Yeah, but that was like my bad for thinking. I just thought she was like a little bit
Like
younger.
older sister versus grandmother.
Yeah, that's like how at first I think I was thinking like grandmother, and then just like the bringing her clothing, right? Picking her out clothes and stuff. To me, that was like an older sister vibe.
For me, the hard part is there's just not that many plus or size older actresses who haven't injected their face with a shit ton of stuff. That was for me,
Right.
is I was like, this could almost be like an unknown character actor that nobody has ever heard of.
Yeah.
To me, this one's a little bit not necessarily a throwaway role, but a role that doesn't necessarily need to be cast with somebody that is well known. It's fun to cast it with somebody that is well known. But I think what's
Right.
most important is that it's a plus size woman, it's an older woman, and it's because it's fantasy and people need to look real in fantasy in terms of aging when they're humans, because that's what separates them from the Fae who are aged less. There needs to be a woman the age on her face who looks older.
It's so hard too, because is everybody really human?
As of right
Like,
now,
halfway through this, it's
Philippa might not be. Maybe she could come in looking like
She
Nicole
might not be.
Kidman and listen, Nicole Kidman
Yeah,
is
she can be
gorgeous,
like,
but
"Hello,
she could come in looking
hey."
because maybe she ends up being like the fairy that has been placed there to watch over her. We don't know that yet.
Yeah, she's like a guide or something. Okay, Philippa Spindlehead,
For now,
that
we'll
is
see.
your choice for now as Kathy Najimy. I like her. I don't want you to feel like it's like meh by default because she is a great choice. I just picked the wrong one. Okay, our Fleetfoot breed is going to be the ultra rare golden Irish wolfhound.
Mhm.
Girl, whoever is available for casting. Thank you. And Mort will be the Tooch, the Stanley
The
Tucci.
Tooch. And he's going to make so much good pasta on set every day for the cast. He's going to bring in pasta.
He's just going to bring it in and they're going to be like, Crafty who? Get rid of those Welch's, Florence Welch's fruit snacks and give me the Tooch tortellini.
Exactly.
Okay, I like our cast.
Me too.
This was a smaller one, so we moved through it pretty quickly, but next time we're going to have a Manon and Rowan and
a Maeve.
an Aiden
And a Maeve.
and a Maeve.
Yep.
And oh yeah.
There's going to be some pretty
So-
important characters, I think, next time. This one was a lot of, as of to be seen, yet to be determined how important they're going to end up being. But I think in the next one, it's,
Yes.
these are very clearly important people.
Yeah, I agree. Adara, thank you so much for being here
As
again.
always.
I didn't ask you this the last time, but is there anywhere on the internet that people can find you as an actress or performing or support you as an artist in any way?
Great question. They can go to my website, Adara Bryan, ADARABRYAN.com. And that just has a list of, all things about me, clips, reels, things like that. I do keep my Instagram for my mental health under lock and key. So it's only my
Smart.
friends and family in the Instagram. But they can also find me on TikTok. I don't care about TikTok because it's just me singing stupid videos and commenting on theater stuff on TikTok too. And it should be, Oh my God, I've never had to give my TikTok handle to the internet space. Let me see what it is. I
Mhm.
can't remember. My TikTok
Do you
handle
do
is at Adara Bryan 1.
at Adara Bryan 1, number 1, the only one
Yes, that is so.
on TikTok, so they can see you singing there,
Get me to
and
1,000 followers so I can go live and sing and make some money on TikTok.
yeah, heck yeah, absolutely. You should be doing that on Twitch anyways.
But there it is.
Yeah.
AdaraBryan.com at
Thank you.
Adara Bryan 1 on TikTok. Le TikTok.
Hell yeah. All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
Adara. We'll see you
Loretta.
for
The next
Air
one.
Fire.
Yay, Air Fire.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.